I'm back, y'all. Part two. Part two. Part two to my video talking about haters. I'll label that one part one. It wasn't going to be part one beforehand because this was going to be included in on there. But I went so far down that rabbit hole. And as you can see, when I'm talking about people's mindsets on things being discouraging and not keeping things encouraging or constructive or upbuilding, it get my blood boiling. I just really think that it's a waste of time. Plus, that video was probably long enough anyway. So, to follow up with these examples, and I better get into these examples before I forget to add them on like I did with that other video. Because I'm not discussing this anymore. I'm probably lying. But I'm really not. I'm really not trying to go down this rabbit hole because I just think it's a big waste of time. But this is part two. Part two on that video that I labeled, I don't even know what I'm reading it for because I'll probably change it up. Why not discuss the mindset of haters? Why not discuss the mindset of haters? I'm not even touching on anything I said in that video. You just have to look at the description, take my word for it. This is part two. Go to that one. The examples of the reason why I don't take take in consideration the mindset of haters, trying to figure out on why are they hating? Why are they doing what they're doing? And it's just a big old waste of time. And a lot of times what I found is no rhyme or reason that I could justify behind what they're doing other than being malicious. I don't know, because I'm even trying to justify it and rationalize it here now. So, but I'm going to use a few examples on things that they're real world examples that are really mean spirited. And it comes along with them basically a person just using you and just laughing about using you. One example, I think I did say part of this in that video, but I'm going to cover this one again, this example, because this is full of examples. One, I remember a family member. They were already established in whatever it was that they were doing. And you have to bear with me on these examples because I keep them really general. So I'm not delving too far in the details. Revealing it. Plus, it's revealing what was going on. Plus, it's not necessary anyway. You can get the gist of it. But this family member was already established in what they were doing, right? Already established, successful. He had somebody else that was coming up, and they wanted to be successful. So they sought out some assistance from this family member. So I'm going to just call them number one and number two. So number one, the successful one, already established. Number two, they were seeking to get some assistance there. They got the assistance of what they needed and had accomplished some of the things that they wanted to accomplish, number two, because of the assistance of number one. Then they proceeded to badmouth, talk about them, move on. It wasn't enough that they got their assistance and it proved successful because they did it like that. But it's like they wanted to eat their gift. I did a video on that. By eating their gift, it wasn't enough for them to just receive it. They wanted to gobble it down, make sure nobody else could receive it, and destroy the giver in the process. What type of sense does that make? They helped you. And free, might I add. Why? Why would you do that? Okay. Example two. All of these are real world examples. Example two. A friend, this was years ago. I was like a teenager. I remember him sharing this example with me. And man, it really rocked me because I was just like, man, I just couldn't believe somebody would do that. Well, let me not build it up too much because since I'm not going to give a lot of details, I don't want it to get too juicy for you. I'll just say, friend, call them number one. The user, call them number two. Number one had a resource that was available for number two to use. Free. Just because to aid this person along to get them to another point in their life. Number two needed this assistance. They used number one fully. At the finish line of using them. Do you not know that number two went and told all of their peers, I was just using number one to get what I wanted. Moved on their way. Number one told me, You know, the word got back around to me. I'm just like, wow, you didn't even have to do that. Because when it was said and done, I was prepared to go even further with the assistance of this. But I'm glad you went and you blabbed it on. It had a really good attitude about it. Number one, had a really good attitude about it. I was like, oh, well, I was just being the best me that I could be. Why would somebody do that? I have no idea. It makes no sense to me. Do you see where I'm going when I'm talking about the mindset of haters and sitting here? Now imagine if number one was sitting here, man, I helped out number two. Why would they do this to me? Why would they? They would be all out in left field. I'm going to say right field. They would be all out in left field. Their mindset, and perhaps it would even stop them from even trying to distribute any gifts in the future. When that wouldn't be needed, because then they're changing who they are. Maybe they just would, the only real lesson that they could take from that was, maybe I'll just, be a little wary of who I welcome in off into my circle, because this could be potentially dangerous, right? Enough for example 2. Number 3, which is me, and just because it's me, well, you'll get a little bit more details because it was me. I'll give you a little bit more. Years ago, working at this job, real world example now, working at this job, and my coworker, because of the type of work that we were doing, we had to do this job, and well, at least it took at least 2 people to do this job. Well, this one coworker, for a better way of saying it, I'll just say when they had done things, or just generally with the way things worked out for them, things always went left. I don't want to call them a screw up, but I'm just going to say, somehow, some way or the other, things always went left. Right? And I don't know how long we had worked together on doing this job. I want to say it was a couple of months. To me, it was some funny times. I thought the person was cool. I didn't have any beef with them. It was fun. Everybody else around was talking about them, but I just kind of saw them for what they were. To me, they were cool. It was just somebody where they just always came up with that short end of the stick. And it did. It affected the job. It affected the job in a big way. Well, this person, I was going to do the number thing. I'm going to just leave it like that. Well, because I know in all those other examples, I'm calling number 2. Number 2 was the user. We'll say, I'm going to still stick them with the number 2. So number 2 was dating a coworker at the job. Now, the coworker, we're going to call them number 1. Super cool person. Super cool person. Matter of fact, I even had a family member that had come to the job to work. They embraced them, taught them all the ins and outs, was really protective of them. Number 1 was a really cool person. Okay? Number 2 called themselves dating number 1. Got to the point where they were pretty much, I think that they had moved in with number 1. I don't know, because it's been so long ago. I remember coming over one time and they were there and they were all kicked up and comfortable. I think they were living together. Well, keep in mind, remember I said number 2, things didn't always pan out the best way possible up for them. So things were always left. Well, I think, this is just, I ain't giving his theory on what was getting ready to go down. I think number 2 was about to get fired from the job because he just had one too many left field experiences. So I think they were going to get rid of number 2. I don't know. Well, all of a sudden, number 2 just left the job, went back to their home location, which was in another state, was just gone, just like that. Well, I noticed number 1, we were passing by, in the hall and just passing by up at work. I noticed I was getting a cold shoulder. And I'm like, this is not like this person, because this person is really awesome. So, my other coworker that had to step up and take the place of number 2, which they were really cool too, had some good times. They were like, man, I'm getting this cold shoulder too. So we approached number 1. We were like, is everything all right? What's going on? So number 1 told us, look, I'm actually mad at you and this other person, Ain, were like, what do we do? What's going on? They were like, well, number two left, right? We're like, yeah, we heard. And we're dealing with the aftermath of that. Yeah, we heard. Well, they left and they told me that you and your coworker, Ain, you knew that he was gonna always do this, and he was going back. He was in on the whole bit. You know what? To give a little bit more juicier details to this situation, number two had a whole nother life set up in a whole nother state. Nobody knew about. We of course we knew that he was from this other state, but nobody knew all the intricate details. Well, not only when this person went out the door and they left the job high and dry, they left number one high and dry, but they rubbed salt in the wound by telling them, yeah, I'm leaving, I'm going back here. I got all this, that, and the other set up with a whole nother relationship and blah, blah, blah. And not only that, Ain and the coworker, they knew about it. So of course, number one was mad. And I was like, what? My coworker was like, what? We were looking at each other like, are you crazy? Not the number one, but we're like, we couldn't do nothing but laugh. Thankfully, on that situation, it wasn't just up on me. It was two people that were bewildered and left wondering what was going on. The situation got resolved right then and there with number one, because we were just like, man, this person is just number one came to a realization that, man, number two is just a crummy person. Because they felt on how they felt with the way they upped and left and did, and then it was just like, and they came to a realization it doesn't make any sense for because number one knew me. She knew this other coworker. Why did number two do what they had done? I don't know. Why would he proceed to badmouth us on the way out the door? I don't know. I'm letting you know this is my experience. I thought other than them having a lot of bad experiences, I thought the person was a cool person. When other people talk bad up about him, I would really try to look up. I'm like, man, on the things that you're saying, I'm just thinking it's a thing of a circumstance. It's not like this person is intentionally trying to, because I was there to witness like a lot of the things. It was just like, I don't know how this bad luck keeps falling on you, but it does. But I wasn't holding the person accountable up for that. And they did me like that. Now, of course, I might have been slightly agitated, maybe for about 10.5 seconds up on it, but then when I thought back on how the person was, I really wasn't mad, because I'm just like, you know what? It wasn't till now that you did this with me, my coworker. Number one, we see this is the reason why things happen to you like they do. You're your own worst problem. Why would you go out the door, why would you go out the door with gasoline draws on, and trying to flame everybody else? I don't understand it. To me, it made no sense, but he had some valid reason for doing and saying what he was. I don't know. It gets back to the topic of this video. Why do you not give any thought into the mindset of haters and why they're doing it? Maybe I said that with the first video. Like I said, you really need to watch part one before you're watching this one. Why do you not give thought to the process of why haters are hating? Maybe you could cut it off at the knees. You could find, no. I don't care on why they're doing what they're doing. I'm just trying to be a better judge of the people, the character, the stuff off of my circle, the things that I'm talking about, how I'm moving and interacting with the world. I'm not trying to decipher up on why a person is doing what they're doing. I'm not that psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever it is. You can just move on with it. All I know is I'm left with the aftermath of what you've done. I'm going to take this and do what I need to do with it. Move on. I'm not concerned with the mindset of haters. Those are my examples that go along with the part one of this video. I'm glad I did split it up and put it into another video. Been a little bit too long for my taste. So there you have it. Not revisiting this topic again, at least for a while. I'm Kilimanjaro, that is. Kilimanjaro is my middle name. Stay encouraged, avoid being discouraged. You all have a good one.